Congratulations, team. I'm super excited about where we're at with this project. We have some significant data, good graphs. It would be nice if we had a little more financial support, though.
Absolutely. What if we made a GoFundMe page using a local Maine celebrity to help endorse our project?
I like that idea.
I think I know a guy. Hello, is this the music agent? I'm Blessing from Bates College, and I'm working on a project that could play a part in reducing livestock emissions in Maine. I think your artist would speak to the local community in our marketing push. Would it be possible to set up a meeting with your artist? Yeah? That sounds good.
Who is this guy you knew again? Looks a lot like Mason Ramsey.
No. This is Little Methane Reduction.
Hi, pleased to meet you. I'm Luke. I'm one of the Bates College researchers.
Howdy.
My name's Claire.
Howdy.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking this meeting to discuss our research project. I think it's really up your alley.
Of course. So it sounds to me like I'm just making a little jingle or music video for your research project. Maybe try to speak to the community a little bit. I'd like to hear a little bit about this project first. Make sure it's something that really speaks to me as a person, and see if I can learn a little bit and figure out how I can help the Maine community.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, let's hear about it.
Are you familiar with climate change?
Yes, ma'am.
A huge contributor to this problem can be attributed to livestock emissions. And one of these emissions is the chemical methane produced through the cow rumen.
Yeah, methane is a potent greenhouse gas produced in the rumen section of the cow's four-part stomach. And it is produced by these microbes known as methanogens that are taking the nutrients that cows consume and turning them into methane that is expelled through burps and farts. So one potential way that we can reduce livestock emissions is by changing the diet of cows in a way that changes the methanogenic populations in their rumen. And we found that seaweed additives to the cow diet can actually highly reduce their enteric emissions of methane, meaning their burped out methane.
All right, so let me get this straight. Climate change is highly affected in a bad way by these cows burping up methane. But if we feed the cows different feed additives, we can change the bugs in their, what's it called again?
The rumen.
In the bugs in their rumen, and by changing the bugs, the methanogens?
Methanogens, yeah. They're a species, or they're a family of archaea.
Okay, by changing that composition in their rumen, we can reduce the amount of methane and help climate change?
Yes, exactly.
Interesting. All right. I think this is something I can get behind.
Awesome. Is it all right if we go into a little more depth with you so you can have a more holistic understanding of our research?
Of course.
So first we collected samples from 2 locations that we thought could give us some insight onto the happenings of the cow rumen. These samples came from the rumen fluid of a single Holstein cow being fed a hay grain diet, and then we collected fecal matter from throughout a variety of time periods from 20 cows undergoing a feed trial where different amounts of macroalgae were instituted into their diet.
Well, that's honestly a lot for me to try to wrap my head around, but basically I think what you're saying is you take samples from the poop, from the rumen, and trying to make assessments of the microbiome. Why are we taking samples from the poop? Why not just the rumen? I thought that's all we cared about.
So some studies have shown that fecal matter can actually serve as like a substitute for representation of what's happening inside the cow rumen. Rumen fluid from the cow is not an easy thing to obtain. Obtaining fecal matter is a lot easier.
All right, that makes sense. Well, continue.
Our work in the lab allowed us to examine the composition of microorganisms in the rumen. We examined the diversity of the rumen microbiome through staining techniques, microscopy, and culturing of the rumen fluid. This allowed us to see what sort of microorganism growth we could observe. After that, we ran PCR cycles on a specific section of the prokaryotic genome to amplify the DNA of our organisms of interest, like methanogens and other bacteria that live in the microbiome. This allowed us to find the relative abundances of bacteria and archaea and see how they were changed as the seaweed dosage was altered.
Whoa, hold your horses now, cowboy. I'd like to think that I'm a pretty intelligent fella, but I have no idea what you just said. Do you think you could explain this to me a little bit more simply?
Yeah, of course, yeah. So we used various techniques to learn more about the bugs, as you like to call them, in the rumen. And this allowed us to see how their numbers in comparison changed, because their proportions in the rumen microbiome are important to how they use nutrients, for example. And that pertains to how they produce methane.
All right, well, what'd you find?
So this graph represents the relative abundance of bacterial populations within our rumen fluid. If you pay attention to this blue box, this represents the presence of methanobacteria relative to the rest of the bacteria within the rumen fluid. As you can see, as our seaweed dosage increases, our methanobacteria abundance decreases. This is also similar for our fecal matter. So this is just one example of how our seaweed affects the composition of our rumen microbiome.
All right, so what you're telling me is that when you gave these bottles of rumen more seaweed, the amount of the methane with methanogens, which are the bad ones, they produce the methane, it decreased.
That's true.
All right.
Though our results are super interesting, they themselves do not definitely suggest that methane has been reduced, which is why we have partnered with Bigelow Laboratories, who have studied the methane production of cows that have undergone a macroalgae diet infusion, and they have found significant results. But to move forward, we need you, low methane reduction, to help us further expand our knowledge of how the rumen microbiome interacts with the exact amount of methane produced by a cow rumen.
All right, well, I can't directly help you further expand your knowledge, but I can certainly get some funding and some awareness going in my little jingle that I'll make. Sounds like if I can, scrape together enough money in this video, y'all will be able to put that to further research and understand how we can, better tackle this methane production problem and fight climate change as a whole. So I guess without further ado, I better go grab my guitar, get my creative juices flowing. And what's up, y'all? It's your favorite local artist, Little Methanogen Reduction Jr., here with a little sneak peek of my new hit single in a collaboration with Bates College Laboratories. So here we go. When cows eat lots of hay and grain, they burp up ruminal methane, contributing to global climate change. But research might have a solution to this bovinal pollution through rumen microbial assay. So feed them cows some algae, their microbiome shall be reduced of methanol factor. Seaweed's a methane subtractor, just a few more dollars, and all our brilliant scholars will enact continued research, learning about microbes in rumen. Don't forget to donate to the GoFundMe. Little Methanogen Reduction out.